Ecosystem. BizThon is an initiative, as the name suggests, or then as the name say, it's TDeFi Business Hackathon. And of course, since we are blockchain focused, so it's a hackathon on blockchain. We have in collaboration with Future Blockchain Summit from GITEX. That's one of the largest technology events happening in Dubai in the month of October and has been happening for the last 26 years, as the history and the records say. TDeFi is hosting this hackathon to bring ideas to reality. And to sum it up in one line, the concept or the theme of the TDeFi BizThon is you walk in as an idea and you walk out as a fully funded business. So it's not just another hackathon where some piece of code will be written. It's a hackathon where ideas will be coming in, and with our ecosystem and with our help, and with our initiative, we'll be able to bring these ideas to life and create businesses out of them. So people who would have just thought about, we would like to build this on blockchain. Just think about it, apply to the competition, and then leave everything to us and your intent, our efforts and your intent, and we'll make your ideas live to the market. So with this, just a few pointers. There are 5 tracks in this hackathon, and one of them is DeFi NFT. Sorry, these are 2 tracks. So I set them together. So it's DeFi and DeFi is one, and social networks and NFT is the other. There are 3 other tracks. You can check them out on the website. The website is tde.fi/BizThon. The prize money for the hackathon is $1 million. We are targeting to select 25 startups, 5 from each track. So there is enough opportunities for everyone to participate and win the competition. The only requirement for this hackathon is that your intent should be to build a business, to be an entrepreneur that is adding value to the ecosystem. Not only this, people who are watching us, we have something for everyone. So for the first time, I'm sure you would have heard about airdrops of this coin, this token, this token, this coin, but you haven't heard of airdrop of a Lamborghini Huracan. So we have a Lamborghini up for an airdrop where we would be incentivizing or rewarding the person that is referring the winner of the hackathon. So if your referred project wins the competition, then they would be getting their prize money, obviously, the respective prize money. But you, as a person who has been able to bring quality projects to us, would be winning a Lamborghini from TDeFi. With this, we have the final, there are 3 rounds to this. The first is idea submission, the second is MVP, then the third is the final presentation at GITEX, which is the largest, let's say, the technology event that is happening in this year in Dubai, which is the hub of technology and blockchain as we see today. With this, I would like to introduce and invite our esteemed panelist for today, Mr. Ben Lakoff. With a very deep experience of financial markets, he is a CFA charter holder, which in itself is a huge achievement and accomplishment. We are honored to have you, Ben, here with us today. Our participants are honored to have advices and mentorship from you. They have these questions in their minds about, as a participant of a hackathon, and we would like to have some words from you that would be goal for them, as they say, to the moon. So I'll start the webinar or the questions with to the moon and Lambo soon. With this, I would like to invite Ben for a quick introduction about yourself, your work. He's the founder and business lead of Particles, which is a product, a combination of DeFi and NFT. So I'm sure no one could have been a better person to have with us on this session today. Over to you, Ben. Thank you so much for the time.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Thanks for having me. And best of luck to everybody that's participating in the hackathon. And an airdrop of a Lamborghini is quite innovative and different indeed. So congrats, early congrats to whoever gets that. That's pretty sweet. So my name is Ben Lakoff. My background is in finance. So as he said, I have a CFA, which just means I spent a lot of time studying financial things and then turned entrepreneur So I've been an active angel investor since 2016. I'm really obsessed with all things startups. So companies I've worked with over the last 3 years have raised over $50 million in funding. That number probably needs to be updated after this last bull market, that's for sure. So currently co-founder and business lead at Charged Particles, which is the intersection of DeFi and NFTs. And I'm actively advising and investing a number of other crypto startups in the space, but excited to be here.
Great. Thank you so much for your appreciating words. And I mean, although you have been very humble in telling us about your experience, because as I know of, as I have read about you, you have been doing some amazing work with some amazing and building some amazing ideas to reality. And, you know, I share the same vision with you, bringing ideas to reality as an investor, as an angel investor. You have done some fantastic contribution to the ecosystem. So Ben, to begin with, a very typical question. What do you would like to comment on the evolution of the DeFi and NFT? Let's begin with the DeFi space. I mean, Compound has been there for a long time. We have seen financial application on blockchain for almost 5 years, but then in 2020, from a couple of $100 million to billions of dollars of TVL, and you know the race is still on. From few 100,000 users today, we have almost 3 million users in DeFi, and now we are seeing a wave of NFT. What are your comments on the evolution of the DeFi space?
Yeah, so the evolution of the DeFi space, I mean, like you said, it's moving at breakneck speed. And the really cool thing and terrifying is that the composability of these things and the ability to stack one protocol on top of another, one utilizing the other, one kind of feeding into the other and improving the other in all of these ways. So one, that adds to this intricate lattice work of all of these DeFi protocols being interconnected. So if one blows up, it could be systematic failure of a larger part of the ecosystem than we had realized. So that's the bad thing. But the good thing is that you're able to innovate and create these new markets and all of these things that were previously not easily done. So it's an exciting space. I think I'm an American. I live in the U.S., so regulatory concern is always an issue. I think what's without going down too many rabbit holes on that, I'm not a lawyer. I'm definitely not your lawyer, but you know, I think regulatory concerns are something to think about, which is always a shame. So if you're in some jurisdiction where there's a sandbox where you can experiment and innovate without these worries of regulatory concern, I think it's a lot better. But yeah, there's a lot of really, really innovative, interesting things going on. And I mean, I come from deep experience within the finance world, and some of these DeFi protocols that are coming out, I don't freaking understand what's going on. So, I mean, we're getting very complicated and very sophisticated very, very quickly, which also is very fun.
Exactly. That's a very interesting statement. You know, the complications have increased at a pace unparalleled to anything else. From just lending and borrowing to protocols that we're seeing today, we are tokenizing the real estate, tokenizing real assets, and you know, building DeFi on them. So complication increasing, and you have rightly pointed out regulatory concerns is a very important parameter to look at for all these for all the entrepreneurs that are planning to build in the DeFi space. I mean, you know, and since you come from a very traditional financial markets background as well, finances, let's say capital markets is about two things. You know, there could be a fixed income instruments, and there is these variable income instruments. DeFi has mostly been into the variable income instruments where we have varying yields based on how the assets are moving. But there have been some startups that are working on the fixed income part. What are your comments on that? Do you see this it as a reality, or do you think it's still time for fixed income instruments in the DeFi space to pitch in?
Oh, you rightly stated. I mean, I think fixed income has a space within DeFi and within finance, certainly. But the issue is, I mean, because you're going so far out on the risk spectrum that and the ability to earn these double digit, triple digit variable or much larger than that variable rates of return, there hasn't been much use like much interest yet in fixed rates. But I mean, if you take a step back, like and think about the more traditional world, getting into DeFi, I mean, a 5, 6, 7% rate of return with not much more risk than a corporate bond fund sort of thing. This is incredibly appealing to like the more traditional finance type of people. So if you're able to have some sort of fixed rate at those rates, yeah, it will serve a place. Just maybe not as sexy or cool as the highly variable ones that we're seeing now.
Right. So, I mean, to sum it up, this is definitely a problem or a area of focus for the next round of entrepreneurs. They can definitely think who are planning to build on DeFi. They should give a thought to how they can bring the fixed income instruments to DeFi. I'm sure it won't be as lucrative, but if you consider mass adoption, which brings me to my next question. Uh, with the growing TVL, the TVL is exploding, right? I mean, I don't even. There's no need to even mention that how we have seen the steep growth of the assets being logged in these protocols. But do you think the growth in the user base or the adoption has been synchronized with the growth in TVL, or do you think there is a huge gap between both? I mean, there are two, uh, yeah.
No, they're definitely correlated, meaning more users equals more TVL. Absolutely. But I think there's like a small subset of whales of bigger players that are making up a big portion of that TVL. But I mean, it's permissionless, decentralized finance that's uncensorable and accessible by many. This is like a macro trend that makes sense. And if you put these into little subsects and they're a little bit more gated for certain parts of the application. So like maybe just for institutionals in one way or another, like maybe this is the way things go. But no, I think they're definitely correlated to answer your question. Yes.
Yeah, so I mean to make it a little more specific and to sort of put things into perspective, the growth, I mean, from the TVL has grown from few $100 million to billions of dollars and even cross $100 billion if we combine both Ethereum and the major other chains. But has the growth in users in synchronization with the growth in TVL, or do you think there is a scope for products which can bring mass adoption to this ecosystem? And if yes, then what are your suggestions? How should an entrepreneur think about it?
How should an entrepreneur think about bringing mass adoption to
Yes.
DeFi? Yeah, I mean, I think there's a number of people, rightfully so, working on this. Like this is the dream. I mean, I went to like a crypto dinner last night, and you start seeing more and more people that previously weren't crypto people, and I think this is the goal, right? That it's not like a dinner for crypto people; it's a dinner, and it just so happens that everybody dabbles in crypto. So that's where we're going. Ideally, I mean that's the narrative I subscribe to, certainly. So I think it's a very important thing. The more different ways we can try to enchant the normal person to get involved with crypto. And that's part of the reason why I like NFTs so much, because it's a bit of a Trojan horse to get people involved with crypto, right? Like, I mean, I run crypto meetups here in LA, and the group of people, the crowd has shifted substantially since NFTs became like a thing. You know, like before it was just kind of libertarians or tinfoil hatters, and then some like more finance, like quant trader, speculative type. And now you have artists and people that just think NFTs are cool, or they're just an artist and they want to find out more about NFTs, which then leads them down this path of, well, what's cryptocurrency? What's the dollar? All of these things that are fascinating.
Okay, yeah, right. I mean, as we go to these meetups and events, we see more participation in the previous one, and that is a live example or a live feedback of how adoption is increasing, and the participation is increasing. But you very well mentioned about the NFTs, and with that, I would like to understand a little more, and probably our audience would definitely want to understand how, as a founder of a startup that has combined DeFi and NFT, a little, please help us understand more about charge particles, and also about what challenges do you see in this ecosystem that can combine DeFi and NFT, and how can an entrepreneur who is working in this space build a product, or let's say, what are your suggestions for them who are trying to build products in this ecosystem on DeFi, or let's say NFTs?
Yeah, sure. So, what is charge particles? First, I'll start with that low hanging fruit. So, charge particles is an NFT protocol that allows you to take your NFT, give it its own wallet, so that NFT then holds other assets in a programmable way. So, some of those assets that you can hold in your NFT are interest-bearing assets, which provides this new token mechanic of having accumulated interest all containerized within your NFT. So we subscribe to the thesis that NFTs will be integrated in with DeFi in this kind of in the future that we envision. One, any NFT can hold other assets. Any NFT is able to hold assets in a programmable way. And that DeFi, it's no longer DeFi and NFTs. It's just more blended together. So that's kind of what we subscribe to. So, I mean, I think probably the second question in there was, how can startup founders think about the meshing of these two worlds? And I mean, earlier I talked about composability. So charge particles were a protocol. So we've worked out this incredibly hard difficulty. We're still in the process, right? We're a startup like everybody else, searching for product market fit and fumbling around in the dark until we seem to have found our way. But what charge particles is a protocol. So if you're building a DeFi Lego piece, the ability to containerize that within an NFT using charge particles. Maybe you're building some sort of trust account and you want that NFT to serve as a trust for your children. Well, you can fill it full of different DeFi assets that are yield farming. You can time lock that for 20 years, and then you can transfer that entire basket with one ERC 721 NFT transfer. Maybe you want to tokenize your equity in your startup and containerize it within an NFT. So you can use that as collateral and take out a loan, so you can transfer it before the vesting tokens unlock. All of these things are possible already with charge particles. So we're innovating. We're always looking to collaborate. So without scope creeping your project too much, my DMs are open. I'm happy to discuss integrating NFTs into your already very, very fascinating, innovative startups that you're building.
Wow, that was a very interesting insight. So the audience, if you are listening to this very sincerely, and there was a very interesting idea that Ben mentioned about tokenize NFTizing, or let's say making your equity as an NFT and then putting it as a collateral till the vesting. That's a very important, I think, very interesting idea to work on, or at least have a thought upon. That's that. Thank you, Ben, for that amazing insight about how NFTs and DeFi can work. I mean, a lot of times we have been asked this question from our participants across for this hackathon, and even the startups that we have been working with. What are the challenges that you see today? I mean, there is a big rosy picture that, yeah, DeFi is still growing, exploding, crypto is exploding, blockchain is exploding. But apart from the regulatory concerns, do you see that repetition, or let's say copying of ideas, and you know is the NFT or DeFi world just now being limited to copying of an idea from one chain to the other chain to the other chain, or do you see new interesting innovative ideas coming in? And what are the challenges do you look at?
Yeah, it certainly does seem like there's a lot of copying from one chain to another. But I don't necessarily think that's a terrible thing. I mean, true innovation is difficult to come by wherever you are, whether it's crypto or whatever else. But yeah, certain chains will fulfill certain difficulties a little bit better than other chains. Um, yeah, but true innovation is hard. Going from 0 to 1 is always very, very difficult. So there's that too.
Yeah, Peter Thiel. Although Peter Thiel mentioned, make 0 to 1, not 1 to n. But I think even building on another chain is, in its true sense, not a copy, because now you have to, the infrastructure has changed, and probably there would be different challenges integrating it. Then bringing volume to that is another challenge. So I mean, with all respect and due respect to the entrepreneurs, I don't believe that it's a copy. Again, it's a new system. It would take time to, DeFi came in, now it has been there, then NFT came in. These are two innovations that it came in. Now there would be solutions building on it and the top of it, and that's what would be the next wave of adoption that would come in. uh, what are your suggestions for our participants of this hackathon, in terms of, you have been an entrepreneur for a long time of your life, you have been working with some big firms as well, so you have been on both sides of the table, as someone who is working in a company and then someone who is leading a company. So what are the challenges that you face as an entrepreneur, and what are your suggestions for our participants who are the next wave of entrepreneurs?
Yeah. Um, I'd say make sure that you understand what it means to be an entrepreneur. I'd say social media and things these days really glamorize the life of an entrepreneur. But I think it was Elon Musk who said true entrepreneurship. I need to check who said this. Somebody famous. Pretend it was Elon Musk. I'll fact check it right after I say it. But he said entrepreneurship is like sitting alone in the dark, staring off into the abyss, eating glass. And that pretty much, it sounds terrible, but that's kind of the reality, right? I mean, it's hard work. The odds are stacked against you that your startup will succeed. Many times you're focused on the wrong thing. You're focused on vanity metrics that really don't matter and not true things that are moving the needle. But yeah, so all of these things are kind of stacked up, but it's also the most wonderful thing in the world. And it's just a big problem solving situation. So I mean, if you love working through problems with a bunch of unknown unknowns, working with like-minded people, working towards some big, hairy, audacious goal that you might fail at, yeah, being involved in a startup is the best thing in the world. But it is very difficult. So you need to make sure that you have the right mindset to continue down this path, because it is definitely not easy. So I would leave you with that sort of advice.
Well, thank you so much, Ben. That was a fantastic quote and a brilliant explanation. And my 2 cents on this would be, although I'm still living, I mean, I'm trying to live a life of an entrepreneur. For me, and my 2 cents would be that entrepreneurship is a journey, and don't take it as a destination. Enjoy every bit of it, be it the fall, be it the rise, be it anything. Just enjoy it, enjoy the journey, take pleasure in all of. Wow, thank you for putting it
Oh,
in
so
text as well.
no, it was Elon Musk. Sorry.
Okay.
Confirmed.
So it's just take pleasure in the journey and just don't worry about the destination. So I'm sure a lot of you would be aware of the captain of the Indian cricket team who became famous by the name Captain Cool, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. I was listening to his interview, and someone asked him, "How do you stay cool? You have been into the tough situations, you have been into the finals of World Cups, and how do you stay cool?" So his statement was very um, impactful, and that has been mentioned a lot of places by a lot of great people. They don't worry about the result. I never worry about the result. I just keep focusing on my efforts. Let the results be whatever they are. The only thing I control is the efforts. So I'll just put the efforts and not worry about the results, and that's what keeps me cool. So with that, I think that's an amazing quote as well, Ben. So now moving towards the end of our session, I have a very interesting question for you now. If as someone who has been into the ecosystem for the last more than 4 to 5 years in the blockchain ecosystem, if I ask what are some of the ideas that you would suggest people to think on? I mean, it could be as vague as building a fixed income protocol, or it could be as precise as building something. But what are some suggestions that you would like to give to our audience who are trying to build, pitch into the hackathon?
Yeah, sure. Good question. I mean, the big trends within cryptocurrency, broadly speaking, are DeFi, NFTs, social tokens, and DAOs. These are like the things that are just very, very fascinating to me. So I would say anything within those categories, make sure that you're solving a real need before you start building. So we have a theme with our team and a lot of the startups I work with, which is you want to Flintstone the idea before you actually launch. So what that means is you have this beautiful Lambo. Well, if there's no floor on it, you can run along on the ground and you can drive this Lambo around like it's running without spending all of the money to make a real Lambo with a real engine and all these things. So it still looks like a Lambo, but it's being powered by your feet running beneath. So taking this approach with the way that you build, and really making sure that you're solving a real problem within one of those big four categories, and that you have the mindset of sticking to it and really chewing glass as long as necessary. And I think you'll do just fine.
Okay, wow, what a brilliant idea again. I mean, your examples are amazing, Ben. Running, till the time you get a real Lambo, why not just try to build your own Lambo and run it on the floor, and then with that approach, there would be a real Lambo under you, and you would be riding on the roads, riding on the streets. Great, brilliant approach.
That's not my analogy, by the way. This was a mentor of mine, Sean. He was the first one to say, Flintstoning it, and I've taken it to heart for sure. So all credit to you, Sean, if you're listening.
Wow, I have a couple of questions for the hackathon and for the session on our chat. Just a second. Okay. So if you have an idea which needs implementation, definitely this is from Gitika. So if you have an idea which doesn't need an implementation, I think what you're talking about essentially is partnerships. So even partnerships would come in once you have built a minimum viable product and you present it to the jury, to the judge panel. And once you have that, you will have a plethora of startups along with you in the same event, and you can partner and collaborate with all of them. You can present an idea. We have a lot of investors coming in, institution investors. We have partnered with a lot of investor groups have partnered with us, who would like to get invest in you, mentor you, and take you through the roads of entrepreneurship and crypto journey. So partnerships would definitely be one of your something that you can definitely expect from the event. Uh, then, so before I get into the end of the session, uh, what would be your closing comments for everyone that's listening to this? To just to give you a gist, it could be an entrepreneur. We have a web developers who are sort of building ideas in this event, and what would be your suggestion to these developers who might not have the real good experience of, let's say, product marketers or product growth? How do you, how would you say, what would be your suggestion to them?
Yeah, sure. Well, as a developer, you are the golden goose. So give yourself a pat on the back because years ago you decided to be a developer and get into crypto. So good for you. You are a scarcity and a precious resource at the moment. That's the first thing. So tap yourself on the back. Good job. The next thing is, I think there's so with charged particles, Rob, he was the founder. He's been thinking about this since 2019. I met him in a virtual accelerator, something similar to this, and joined on as like, you take care of the tech stuff, I'll take care of all of the business stuff, and we combined can create something magical. So these are possibilities. The other possibilities are within, the group of mentors, advisors, bringing on people like that to help you think through the business aspects of it, because it's hard not to just want to build a really cool product that is technologically very awesome and innovative and all the things, but you really have to make sure that this solves a real problem and is a real business, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is what like a non-tech, more business-minded, or the unicorn, somebody that is very tech-enabled and also business-minded, can help you think through. So I mean, more broad advice would just be, there's no dumb questions. Not everybody knows anything. I tell people that I have no idea all the time, and people I respect and look up to also do that. So there's no shame, there's no issue in saying, you know what, I have no idea what I'm doing with this particular thing. Please help. Like, can we sit down? Can we jam on this for a sec? So getting rid of that stigma that like you need to know everything and you have to have everything figured out.
Wow. I think this is a perfect example of what we are trying to do as well, Ben. I did not get a chance to mention this, but just for this reason itself, just like you said, that you met your co-founder, the founder of Charged Particles, through a virtual program like this back 2 years back, just to facilitate these kind of partnerships, because these kind of partnerships have built Charged Particles, right? And they have the potential to build more fabulous products like in the likes of Charged Particles. That's why TDeFi BizThon offers an opportunity to not only to the developers, but to everyone out there who is listening to this, or who would be listening to this, let's say, in the any of our videos. TDeFi BizThon is open for product marketers, influencers, developers, entrepreneurs, people who are thinking to be just on the marketing side, people are thinking to just be on the strategy side, on the fundraising side. If you are anyone out of these, and I think I've covered most of them, all of them, right? So if you're anyone in this part ecosystem, feel free to jump in on the portal, create a profile, and our team will get in touch with you to help you match with your, because the portal that you would be logging in is an AI powered ERP that has a matchmaking algorithm which will match your skills with your with the skills that are needed in any startup that is being built. So there would be developers who are looking for marketers, and we'll match you with them. And that's how we are planning to build businesses here. We are here to build businesses, create businesses, and shoot it to the moon in one sentence. I think, yeah, that was a brilliant answer by you, Ben. With this, I think we are now close finally to our end of the session. If any closing arguments we have about the hackathon, or your suggestion to the participants about what do you think about this hackathon as a competition, which the TDeFi BizThon.
Sorry. Sorry. What was it cut out a little bit?
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on the concept of TDeFi BizThon? How do you see this as an opportunity for the participants to share their ideas, build their ideas, and come out as businesses?
Yeah, sure. Huge fan of hackathons, huge fan of accelerators, all of these like ways to incubate, accelerate, and ship ideas from idea to like proof of concept. So massive fan. I would say keep an open mind, network with people. Don't be afraid to ask questions or reach out, and have fun.
Thank you so much, Ben. With this, I think we have, in the best interest of time, we would be saying goodbye to all our participants, our viewers and listeners. If you have any questions, Ben, would you like, how would you like the participants to get in touch with you? What would be the best channel to reach out to you if they have their doubts, and if they would like to sort of share their proposals or reach out to you?
Yeah, sure. My Twitter is Ben Lakoff, or at Ben Lakoff, BenLakoff. And Charged Particles is at DeFi NFT, so DeFi NFT. And our Twitter DMs are open for both. So would love to collaborate. I'm always available to answer questions or give some input. So don't be afraid to reach out.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ben, for your precious time. It was a real pleasure talking to you and knowing about the insights. I'll always remember this quote now. Thank you for sharing your channels, using this channel name so that people can reach out to you. And with this, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for taking out your time and taking out time to view this webinar on evolution of DeFi and NFTs. We got to learn a lot of things from Ben. It's a great ecosystem. Come out, start building your ideas. Visit the websites. It's in the chat box, and will also be in the description of the YouTube video down there. And you can always reach out to us for your any queries. Our mentors will always be there to help you, to advise you, and take you to the moon. Thank you so much, everyone. Goodbye. Thank you to the host for organizing this. Bye-bye.